Hello, Brandon Spelove here, the founder of Central Composers, and I've got a product to show you that I've created. It's a Contact 4 library. People have may heard of this library because I've gone on about it a very lot because I'm so excited to release it. But I'll just show you now. It is called Cinematic Ribbons 4. Well, I say 4 because it's for Contact 4. It can work on Contact 5, Contact 4. It should work on versions 4.1.0.363 versions above. Okay, I'm not going to show you any sounds at the moment because there'll be another video after this in the same video, or maybe a separate video, showing you a demonstration on some of the main categories with me speaking live, telling you about how to use the categories, how they're split up. Well, I'll tell you now, but I'll just get straight into it. So if you want to buy this library, you can either buy it at the full bundle, which comes in 4 categories, or you can buy each individual category on their own. And it turns out cheaper if you buy the bundle, because the bundle is $16. That is very cheap. I suggest to you, if you've got any money spare lying around, I'd just go out and see if you like it. If you don't like it, then it's not that much waste. You've not really wasted a lot. Okay, each category on their own is $8. Now that's even cheap. So if you want just a specific category, then you can choose to your tonal loops, percussive kits, FX and hits and instruments. Okay. So there was a little bug with the loading samples. Every time you loaded a sample, they wouldn't actually appear. You'd have to manually find the samples for each NKA instrument. But I've sorted that, and I've sorted the mod wheel effect. The mod wheel controls the volume. It doesn't anymore. That just got a bit. It just got annoying. Okay. There is, as I know, there is roughly 202 NKA instruments split up between all 4 of these in the PDF on the website centralcomposers.com. I'd advise you to go head and check that out. Well, there's a PDF explaining about this library instead of me talking about it, and there's also a table inside it showing you how many NKA files or how many instrument patches there is in each category, each individual category. So you can see if you want to, I think there's 89 in tonal loops, there's 15 in percussive kits, there's about 60 something in the FX and hits, and 33 in the instruments. I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to work that out with maths because I'm pretty sure that doesn't come close to 202 instrument patches, but I'm going to get on with it. There is a little thing that if you do buy this, you'll have to install the custom GUI inside my documents / or / whatever, native instruments, and inside Contact 4. If you're using Contact 4, if you want to use Contact 5, you have to put it in Contact 5. Make sure you do that. Make sure you remember that, or you can just email me at brandon@centralcomposers.com or brandon-spenlove@hotmail.co.uk. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the tonal lobes. There's subcategories inside each folder, which it should give you a basic idea of different sounds, because it's more neater. I basically subcategorize the main category instruments, so you've got a better navigation. So if you want like a low pulse in tonal loop, then you'll just go into low right here. Okay, the bonus tonal loops, I'll tell you a bit about these. These bonus tonal loops, they're more like, hence this library is called Cinematic Ribbons. I'm more likely to create a cinematic typed tonal loops, like pulsating, sort of like the Hans Zimmer sort of trick with the pulsating basses, or the acting percussion as tonal loops, which is a really good thing. Acting a bass pedal as a tonal loop to tune the bass pedal, it sounds really nice. But the bonus loops are more like more genre specific, not cinematic. It's more roughly around electronic-y styled without that much of a cinematic feeling, if any of that makes sense. I'll try to explain more as I go through it. Okay, the high loops, as you might have known, the sampled ones that are more sampled around the fourth octave of the keyboard, or the fifth, or maybe the third. So basically, if you play down onto like C1 because the sample's stretched, there's one sample per instrument patch, or there's a tonal loops menu giving you all of them. Most of these samples are tuned or sampled at C or D, and in some cases F. Okay, there's a couple of bonus ones as well. High glitch, not really put many in there, I just put one in there, and the low one I put 3. Okay, the low tonal loops, they can be sampled around C1, C2, you know, them low frequency typed, pulsating with like maybe a bit of gritty distortion, some delay. Plus also you've got the option to put your own effects on, which is EQ, distortion, reverb, compressor, and both filters. The 4-pass HP filter, the high pass, the or 4-pole, sorry, the 4-pole low pass filter. You've got your parameters here, and it also it hides some if you are using like something like distortion, where it only includes 3 parameters. The this is the audio loop. When you play, basically what will happen is there'll be a cursor called a play cursor, and it will follow along with the beat slices, because there's a specific way I sampled most of these instruments. If you drag them into your host, or in your DAW, your digital audio workstation, then they won't sound too good, because I've only allowed you to use FX and percussion and percussive kits like the percussion loops as drag-ins. That's the good thing about this as well. If you want to drag in sound effects instead of opening up NKA patches all the time, then feel free to go into the samples in import, or however you do it on your DAW, and just drag them in. Okay, where was I? That's what I went at. Okay, multi-sampled loops. Multi-sampled loops, as I might have not said, all the low, the high, and the bonus tonal loops are mainly they mainly hold one sample within each instrument patch. This is because I didn't want to make the library too big for download. Just because of the tonal loops are like huge. I wouldn't want to make that category like 16 gigabytes just because I wanted to sample every note on the keyboard. Okay. Because you can also get some really good outcomes if you stretch the sample over a keyboard and play from the original tuning an octave down or an octave up. You tend to get either some really bad noises or some really weird cool noises that you can manipulate, and then God, I'm going a bit too fast here. Better slow down a tiny bit, but the video will be longer. Basically, the manipulation is really good when working with this library, because basically sound design and cinematical sort of sounds, you can manipulate all these sounds in a way you'd like them. If you hear a sound and you'd be like, oh, that might need a bit more, I don't know, it might need a bit more grittiness and maybe tune down like 48 octaves or something. Well, that's not possible, but you won't be able to hear that, because low, then that's just too low. Okay, the multi-sampled loops are different. They've actually got more than one sample in each instrument. There's 13 altogether, because they actually take up quite a bit of size. The multi-sampled has roughly been over diminished thirds, been sampled over diminished thirds, or perfect fifths. This is so you get better quality when working with around the original tuning. If you were playing at C3 and then you went up to E flat 3 or something, or D sharp 3, then it wouldn't sound as much. The quality would be better if you went from C3 to G3, because there will be a new sample at G3, something like that. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's explained a tiny bit about that. I won't go into too much depth yet, but I'll go into the percussive kits. The percussive kits hold percussive instruments, including loops, sorry, my pronunciation. I don't even know what's just happened. Okay, my the percussion loops instrument patch that I made, I basically hand created a bunch of sounds, and then mixed them together and tried to manipulate different sounds into acting like percussion, such as synths. You can make synths as percussion by just changing around loads of parameters and just, you got your ordinary, you got a deep echo drum, dirty sound design loops. These are sound design loops. These are basically stuff that I've recorded outside and in the studio and in warehouses. Just sounds that sound not, what's the word? Not really nice, like smashing glass over a repeated amount of times in a rhythm or something like that, and then manipulating it, putting some effects on, just some slight effects, just to give it that more oomph. But so you got your standard kick drums with round robin. A lot of round robin is included in the instruments. This gives it a more realistic feel when playing staccato, like really fast staccato notes or really fast phrases or something, if you want to do that. And there's a subcategory called sound design rhythmic loops. There's a menu right here. They're basically sounds that I try to manipulate as a drum pattern. For example, like a bass pedal loop. Obviously that is a piece of a drum kit, but then you also get slap loop or table hit. Table hit is basically a recorded, the table has been hit at certain specific rhythm, like a bum 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 bum, and then manipulated through effects, reverb, maybe tuned down a tiny bit to give it more of that deep sort of drum sound. And it's just experimenting, really. Some people like it, some people won't. Okay, here's one of my favourite categories, the FX and hits. It includes 5 subcategories with a instrument patch that shows you this category right here. There's the hybrid effects menu. This basically shows you everything inside here, which is there are 19 hybrid effects instrument patches, and there's 19 samples in here, but they're only tuned to one key. The hybrid effects this is one effect stretched across. Oh, sorry about that. It's stretched across the keyboard. Okay, the build-ups, there's a couple. There's build-down build-ups and reverse build-ups and reverse effects. These are really good for climaxes, them sort of horror scenes when the buildings, the suspense of the scene in specific scenes in a movie or in a game or in your competition. If you're just doing a personal composition that you're going to put up on the internet to show people, if you're, or some library that you're going to buy. I'm joking. Okay, we've got the drones. These are really pretty much nasty sounds. These are really nasty sounds. As you can see from the sample view, you can have a look at what they sound like, but these are really nasty sounds. These are like really nasty pads, a sort of pad instrument, but just really nasty sounds. Okay, we've got the hits, essential hits. These include like booms and little high shooshes, like proper the S that will give it that sort of really horrid, nasty feeling, that really sound designy, cinematical, scary feeling. And you got deep echoes, like basically like sounds like a cave, something getting hit in a cave, which is actually a warehouse. High central hits, they are like screamy sort of sounds, like really high sounds that they sound really. I'd be warned, don't have the volume all the way up when you play one. You can, but don't come crying to me if you come deaf or something. But there's horrible metals. These are metals getting scraped, getting bowed, like bowed cymbals, but with and again manipulated cymbals. Different sounds like reversed and pitched down, and then also blended in with another specific sound to make it that the clashing frequencies, which give it that eerie sort of sound. Okay, you've got the noise hits, which is round robin. The noise hits include 4 round robin. The instruments roughly around 5. So there's a noise hits, which is basically noises like drums, but as a noise. And we've got one more, which are the risers. You might know what the risers are, but they're basically increasing in volume, and they're also at the same time mainly they're increasing in pitch. This is really good for they're basically like transitions, or you could act them like build-ups for suspense, climaxes to the main theme or to the scene that you're working with in a film or in a game or an indie movie, whatever. And then you've got the instrument, which is the 4th category. As I said, these categories can be bought on their own by $8, or you can buy them all together at $16. The $16 way is basically an encouragement to buy the whole set, because it will be cinematic rhythms. If you buy one category, it won't be cinematic rhythms. It will just be tonal loops or percussive kits. It's really essential to buy the whole pack, because they all protect each other, not protect each other, they all assist each other in composition as like friends. They really go well together. That's why I've created them. I created them personally for myself, for my use of compositions, but I also wanted to give them out for a little while to sell. Okay, we've got the instruments, which include 4 subcategories, which are basically splitting up the instruments into specific parts of what they are. For example, bass guitars, pianos, and synths and pads. Okay, the bass guitar, they include weird bass designed guitars, not actual electronic basses, but more like a synth bass or a deep bass. The only organic sort of sound we came across was the double bass staccato alike, because it sounds similar to a staccato on the double bass. Okay, on the guitars we have some sound design with a friend of mine called Matt. We've got some sound design, we've got a wide range of sound design with using the guitar. We've got a nice little acoustic guitar called Central Guitar, which is 161 megabytes, which is pretty good for this library, that you've got one of them, so that's really worth checking out. Central Dual, basically 2 instruments helping each other with the samples. There's 2 samples when you play one. Distorted pluck, I think this is a violin pizzicato, or a cello pizzicato with a distortion on. It's really nice. Guitar Paradise, it's a filtered guitar, it sounds really nice, it's a clean guitar. Really good for them sad sort of themes. HB reverse guitar, sort of reverse. Heavy guitar, you most probably know what that is. That's just a heavy power chord. You got the pianos, one of my favourite ones that I've made. is the Lost Piano Round Robin. It's basically a piano with a filter on. It sounds really nice. It sounds a bit spacey with reverb. We've got Horrid Organ, basically like an organ alike. That sounds really horrid. So that's really good for your sort of horroristic Halloween type themes. Like if you played like a fugue on the Horrid Organ, well, you've got like some little girl singing a song or something. Perfectly untuned piano. It plays really well. It doesn't play out of tune, but it is out of tune. If you played it against another piano, then it would be out of tune, but all the notes are perfect. They've been tuned out of tune perfectly, if you know what I mean. Just a little electronic piano with round robin and a tremolo piano. That's just basically a reverse piano with a tremolo on. So we go sort of similar to that. That was a really bad example. Okay, and the last subcategory in the instruments are synths and pads. Really nice pads that I had to create for this library, because it won't be a cinematic library without them sort of pads that can go underneath the strings. They can double layer the strings. If you've got string library like ADO's bundle, like the ADO Adago bundle or the East West, then you can double layer the strings or the brass, whatever you want. Arm time, that's a little synth. That's really nice, by the way. You'd want to check that out. And yeah, that's basically it. And a staccato stab lead, which is a stab, sort of staccato stab. Right there, it says staccato stab. Yeah, this library also includes documentation about. If I quickly show you, don't worry about my desktop. My desktop is a bit bad at the moment. Okay, it includes a cinematic rhythms guide. It's basically, this is the guide that shows you how to basically my personal things, the full bundle, explaining about it, installation, how to install, and that's basically it, and how to load it up. Then we've got the picture guide, how to install, for anyone that gets confused with the text guide. You've got a little readme, you've got documentation, some quick notes, instrument wallpaper, Central Composer's guide, which I'll be changing. And that's basically it. This is the folder you'd have to drag into the documents, native instruments, and then contact 4, contact 5, or both. It'd be better to do both. And make sure you don't touch this folder, otherwise you'll get it'll go a bit weird, the library. And I think that is it. I think so. So if anyone has any questions about the library itself, then feel free to message me, comment below. If this is going on YouTube, I'm pretty sure it is. And hope you have a good time listening to the little explanation about the library. Hopefully you've had a good time. Yep, let's go now. So I hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.